All right, I'm here with my friend Joe. Joe and I met actually at a birthday party was the first time we met.
Yes, you're right,
Yeah.
we did, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So our eldest two met at a birthday party, and then we met by default. And then we didn't even exchange numbers or anything, but we
Mhm.
just like kept running into each other at the library. Yeah.
Yeah, like, multiple times. I feel like we even ran into each other, like, other places too.
The refill shop too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, like, we just, like, kept over and over running into each other around town.
Yeah, I think by the 3rd time, we were like, "Clearly, we need to be in communication with each other."
I
Or
know,
not, because 'cause we're meeting up. I mean, honestly, I saw you more during that window than I'm seeing you in
I
the
know, what happened? Now we don't run into each other at all.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, but yeah, so that was fun, and here we are.
And here we are.
Um, Joe has 2 kids, 8 and 5,
Mhm,
and, I wanna know we'll start from where you were at pre-kids.
mhm. Like,
Like,
what I
bef
was doing.
yes, like, before your kids even existed,
Mhm,
who was Joe?
mhm. Well, we did not live here. We didn't live in Colorado. We lived in Seattle for about 6 years. Sorry, my dog keeps like running into the moving it. And I farmed full time. We lived on the farm I was working on, in a, like, trailer that we redid just because we wanted to be on the farm, and it made my life a lot easier. Um, and pretty much my whole life revolved around farming and that lifestyle and living off the land um, so I would say that was pretty much what I was doing with my life at that point. And after having my first, I really tried to keep farming in my life as much as I could. And I mean, up until she was like the first, like, 2 years of her life, I kept farming as much as I could. It was definitely harder just time-wise and stuff because we did not have childcare. Um,
And are
and
you talking, like, plants, animals, like, the whole thing?
so mostly I was just doing plants. So the farm that I worked on in Seattle they owned like 80 acres, but we farmed about 17 of it. And it was it was a combination of selling to restaurants and a CSA, which, like, if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's community supported agriculture where people pay in and get a weekly box. So I actually ran that. It was a 300 family CSA that I ran for
Ah.
about 3 years. Um, yeah, so that was the first, like, year of her life I was there, and then, we moved to Tennessee after that, and I ran a very small farm for a restaurant there. And I did that for about a year before we decided we didn't wanna stay in Tennessee. Um, and then came to Colorado, and that's when I stopped working, and I was just home full time. That was obviously before school years.
Yeah.
Um, but at that point, it made more sense to be home with her. And then it wasn't long after that, I got pregnant with our son, who's now 5.
Yeah.
So,
And was homeschooling always on your radar, or what was the thing that sort of pushed you in that direction?
yeah, I was homeschooled, all the way through.
I
Um
always forget that for some reason.
Mhm. Yeah, I was homeschooled all the way through, and it's funny because looking back now, I think I resented that a lot. I
Mm,
didn't like, I think, the way that I was homeschooled, um,
which was
which was, Very, very, mm, it was very much about, control, and it was very much about, "We want to keep you in this tiny little environment because we don't want you anywhere near anything else that we can't be there and be a part of and be in control of." So it
Mm,
really didn't have anything to do with, "Oh, there's this incredible opportunity and this amazing way we can learn," because everything we were doing was really like textbooks. There was no real like leniency in being at home.
mm,
It was very much a, like, we had a time we had to be awake in the morning or jumping straight into just full-blown being in textbook school, um, and it's funny because I look back now and I knew that wasn't the route that I wanted to take, but so much of my time with my kids, I just felt like I wanted to be with them. I didn't want to lose time with them.
yeah,
And so for me, I feel like I almost learned beforehand what I didn't want to do
yeah,
with them. But I think my husband and I both wanted, it's funny because he grew up in the public school system.
mhm,
Um, and he did not like the environment he was in. It wasn't what he wanted to send our kids into. So it's funny, we both came from very different worlds in that regard and both kind
yeah,
of landed in the same place of wanting to at least give it a go and try
yeah,
and see kind of what came of it, really.
yeah.
Mm.
And where do you find yourself, like, coming from that sort of, like, textbook background now, with your own kids? Where are you at with, like, curriculum, unschooling, whatever term you wanna give it, I guess I'll say, and then also of, like, the homeschooling philosophies. Do
Mhm,
you find yourself, like, subscribing to any of those, or do you sort of, like, pull from a lot of different places?
mhm. I think I definitely pull from a lot of different places. I want my children to have a very good education. I do not
Yeah,
want them to come out of it and feel like they didn't have a good education or wish that they would have learned more. So I think there are parts of me that are definitely like, we do use curriculum for a lot of stuff, not everything. But things that I do not feel obviously confident enough to tackle myself, like
yeah,
math
yeah,
and things like that. That's just, I would not be able to do that. And I don't want them having big gaps in what they do and don't know. So I will say, like, I do lean on curriculum for things that they need to be able to walk through the world and know how to get through, and there are things that they have to know.
yeah,
Um, and so I do use quite a bit of curriculum, but then I think there are a lot of things that I just kind of pull off of based on what my kids are interested in, and I think a lot of that too, science things and stuff like that. Like, we are just very much, "Hey, you're interested in that? Awesome. Let's pull out books. Let's figure out, a way to turn this into that subject for the day or the week, or we might spend a full month going through something if they are both like really interested in something."
yeah,
Um, so, like, for instance, we spent the last 2 nights outside looking at the incredible moon, and, okay, awesome. Let's spend the next few days really studying the moon and what that looks like, and so I do like to have leniency in what we're doing because I think it
yeah,
keeps it very interesting and exciting for them while also going, "Now we have to pull out the math books."
yeah. The balance of both
So
for
I just
sure.
think, like, you can have the best of both
Yeah,
worlds, I think. I don't
yeah,
necessarily know that I lean any specific way, maybe right down the middle.
yeah. Do you feel like you came into it with, expectations of what it would be like that were maybe connected to your own upbringing or maybe separate? And how have those expectations matched up with, like, what it's actually been like?
Mm, that's a really good question. I think there can be this very romanticized, way of looking at homeschooling, especially for I mean, I don't do social media anymore, but I used to, and I remember a lot of the time feeling very bad about myself because it didn't look as beautiful and picture perfect and sweet as what I was seeing.
Yeah,
However, I also was able to look and go, we're also not sitting on this other side of we have to do XYZ, we have to get through these specific books. Like kept finding myself somewhere in the middle of that. And
yeah,
so I think I was really happy to be able to give my kids something that I didn't get to experience growing up in the homeschool world, while also being able to let myself off the hook when it didn't look as beautiful and peaceful and perfect as some of the other things I was seeing.
yeah,
I also will say I feel like I am constantly adjusting.
yeah, I
Um,
feel that.
we have changed what we're doing multiple times a year. If something is not working for us, I have started to be really quick to be able to go, okay, it's not working. Let's find something else that does work, because when there is so much pushback or someone doesn't learn in that specific way, it is my tendency to keep trying to push through something, and I've
Yeah,
really had to learn to let that go and
yeah,
be able to really adjust when something is just not gonna work for one or all of us.
yeah.
Able to adjust.
That was actually one of my questions down the line, but we can segue into it now because you basically just answered it. But yeah, is there anything else you would add to that in terms of things you feel like you've had to unlearn in order to homeschool the way that you want to?
Mm,
That's a good one though, the adjusting. I feel like that is so
yeah.
key.
Yeah, I think I do. It is funny, and probably it does have a lot well, it's probably there's probably multiple things that factor into this. I will say, coming from a background of just textbook, 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 it has taken me a long time to get to the point of being able to do some letting go.
Yeah,
Um, and man, if we don't get through this one specific thing, it's gonna be okay. Like, that has been a really hard thing for me to adjust to for myself,
yeah,
because I do feel like I have a lot of high expectations of what we should be able to get through, and sometimes it's to the detriment of my kids of going like, "Man, this is just not the day for
yeah,
that," or a kid is crying over math and being able to go, "Okay, let's just, like, pause that for the day. We can pick that up tomorrow," but I have had to learn that
yeah,
and be able to really listen to what it is that they need as opposed to what my agenda is.
yeah,
So, I would say that's probably one of the, like, bigger things that I have had to really adjust in myself.
yeah. Well, and the number of times I've heard moms say like that they have those moments in homeschooling where like the kid is in tears, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's so easy for us to take that as a sign that, like, it's not going well, like,
Yeah.
we should do something else. But then the flip side of that is, like, but they're in a space where they feel comfortable enough to, like,
Mhm.
express that amount of
Yes.
frustration, right?
Yes.
Which, like, there were tons of times I would have loved to cry in school. And, like, I
Yeah.
never did because I was there, you know?
Mhm.
So sometimes I try to
I think that's a really, really good point, though.
I try to remind myself of that because it's like I
Yes.
do. I feel like we all hit those moments where it's easy to feel like, "Oh, this isn't." yeah, we should throw in the towel because
Mhm.
the kids are crying over school, and that must mean that they hate it, and that must mean that it would be so much better if someone else was teaching them. We have the whole inner monologue about it. But
Mhm.
yeah, um I don't know. That's how I've been flipping it for myself. And honestly, like I feel like I hear it, so much from others too that I'm like, okay,
That's
like
real.
we're all
Yes.
in this,
Yes.
Um and how healthy for the kids too,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. I think so too.
I want to step back for just a sec. I don't know if we want to bring this into it,
Oh boy. Please just
but
do.
this hasn't come up in any of the conversations I've had so far. And I'm like, I've talked about it with people, just not in these interviews. I'm like, maybe you're the person because you were like a farmer when you were talking about like kind of the picture perfect, homeschool life, right? You know where I'm going with this. It's
Yes,
like
I
the
do.
trad wives, it's like,
Yes,
the homeschool mom who's baking sourdough, which you do,
I
and I
do.
do, and farming and like all these things. But you could not be like, you do not fit that mold. You know what I mean? So I'll say that too. But I feel like that, like
Mm,
actually the most recent mom I interviewed, she has two kids who are older who she
okay.
homeschooled for part of the time, and she has a younger one who now she's
Mhm,
starting the journey with again.
mhm.
Um, and I was saying to her, like, gosh, it must be so crazy because at the time, now that homeschool is more like mainstream, right?
Yes.
You do see how it like infiltrated social media in
Mhm.
sometimes a really beautiful, inspiring way.
Yes, for sure.
And other times, like, yeah, just impossible levels of curated, like, is it real? Is it AI? Who knows? Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. Um, but as someone who was homeschooled and didn't have any of that, and then like grew up to sort of like see all of that, I'm curious your take on it, or like what happened.
I
Technology, I don't
I don't
know.
know, social media
Yeah.
happened probably. I don't know. I also just, I don't know, nobody can do everything,
Yeah.
and as much as I would love for my life to fully look like that, because there is so much of that that I really do love
Yes.
doing before I had
Yeah.
kids, before I started homeschooling, before, that was just a part of my life. But I think also, there's a level of, there are some things you give up to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I hold on to little pieces of that for myself and who I am, but I also am able to let go when I have to.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really, especially in the last year or so, I feel like I'm really learning how to let some things go that this is not the season for it, and knowing that season can come again, but this is not it. And
Yeah.
being able to be okay with the fact that, hey, maybe there are some people that can juggle all of that and do everything. I don't know, maybe,
Yeah.
but I need to be okay with the fact that right now I can't.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's worth saying, like, which I think hopefully everyone knows this, but like, even if like farming and like baking sourdough bread, and you like, some women really like wearing like dresses, like that doesn't mean anything really. And I was just having a conversation with another mom. She was like, I hate baking. And I don't like, she was talking about the opposite, about how in so many ways she doesn't feel like she like fits the
Mhm.
the homeschool mom, homemaker image. And I just, yeah, I just want to call like BS on all of it, like,
Well, something I don't know. This is I really just now kind of thought about this. So I think when I was growing up in the homeschool world, mm, maybe I shouldn't use a percentage. Most came from a very conservative,
yeah,
very specific lifestyle.
Yeah,
And I don't
totally.
think that that is what it is now. So
Yeah,
now you have people doing it for all kinds of different reasons, as opposed to when I was growing up, most of them were for a very, very specific reason. You were homeschooling your kids, and most everybody around you was homeschooling for that exact same reason. I
yeah,
do not believe that that is the same now. And so I think you have a lot of women from a ton of different backgrounds, which is amazing because you have all these different people coming from all these different sorry, dog, she just cannot
wagging the
stay
tail.
just cannot stay still. Um, but I think now it's like because you have so many people coming from so many different walks of life, you're all learning from each other. Not everybody is walking the same life, and I honestly think that's to our advantage now.
Yeah, 100%.
So for her, for that specific person, I'm going like, "Awesome. That's
Yeah,
great." Now everybody gets to look and go, "Oh, I don't have to fit that mold." I
yeah,
think that's wonderful.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I also, for there's I feel like there's so much, like, hate on the trad wives persona too, and I do think it makes people who do enjoy some of those things, like, feel bad, like, "Oh, I shouldn't be able to enjoy those things," and, like, I just think there's a lot of societal layers there, but I just feel like however you wanna do it is,
Yeah,
do
do
it.
it
Just do
because
it,
it's
and it
your
doesn't have
life.
to look any certain way,
Yes.
and you can enjoy whatever you wanna enjoy.
Yeah.
As long as, like, you're safe and your children are safe and, like,
Right?
more power to
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, when a homeschool day is going really, really well and,
Mhm.
like, everything's clicking and, like, what is happening? Like, what are your favorite homeschool days?
Mhm. So, I would say some of my favorite homeschool days, we do have some rhythm a lot of the time to what our days look like. So we typically start out our day with some kind of journaling. Like my older daughter has like this question a day journal. She's been doing it for, I don't know, it's been almost 2 years now that she's been doing one of these, and it's just a great way for her to start her day. Sometimes she's doing it while she's eating breakfast. Sometimes it's after that, but that's typically kind of how we start out our day is doing
That's
some
awesome.
kind of like journaling thing. And then a lot of the time we kind of switch over to I'm reading some kind of chapter book with them. Sometimes it's nature based. Sometimes it's not. It just kind of depends on what we're doing. The kids are normally like drawing or coloring or doing something like that while I read.
Mhm,
Um, so that is a lot of the time how we start our days is kind of those 2 things. It feels like a nice slow way to kinda get into what school is gonna look like for the day.
mhm.
Um, so then typically after that, we'll switch to something a little bit less exciting, like math. Um, and I really it's funny, I remember always doing math at the end of the day when you're
Mm,
just feeling done and tired and over it, and it's funny, I don't even know that I made a conscious decision to do it, but I'm like, we typically, like, almost first thing in the morning, we get it out of the way, which has been a
same.
really yeah,
Yeah.
right? It's been, like, an
In fact
awesome
in fact, my daughter, like, she has started saying, like, "I just wanna get it done with," which
yeah.
and I'm like, "You know what?
I'm
More power to
glad
you."
to hear
Like,
that I'm
that's
not
how
the
I feel too.
only one doing that. So we'll typically do that, get the hard thing out of the way.
"Eat that
I
frog."
also think
Have you
it's a
ever
really
heard that?
nice life skill to not keep putting it off,
Yeah.
to just do it and get it done. It's good for me.
Yeah.
So then typically we'll take a little bit of a break. Um, Most of the time the kids are going outside, get some
Yeah.
fresh air, run around in the yard, take our crazy dog with them, and go outside and play for a little bit. And then we kind of reconvene. it depends on the day how much time they're getting, and it also depends on the weather, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah.
Winter, they're not outside quite as much as normal. And so sometimes we'll just like they'll have a short break and then we'll kind of get back into either like getting into spelling, which both of them like and granted my son who's 5 like we're talking about just learning letters and stuff at this point, but my
Yeah.
daughter actually loves spelling. We have found an awesome curriculum that like she typically flies through like 2 years of it in 1 year.
Wow, what is
um,
it?
so it's called All About Spelling. No, yeah, All About Spelling. If I don't have something right in front of me, I
Yeah.
never it's a little bit more of an expensive curriculum, but we started it a couple of years ago and, like, both fell in love with it. And she is it's so funny. I was horrible at spelling. I still struggle.
Mm,
And she just like, man, her brain just gets it. She learns the facts so easily of how things work together, and it's also
that's awesome.
has tons of games incorporated into it, which I'm like, games always a big plus at our house.
Yep.
Um, so typically we're kind of knocking that out, and then we'll get into something a little more fun, like getting into kind of a science-y thing, or some kind of history, which we've kind of bounced around a lot with history.
Yeah.
Um, we've been going through some books about just like specific people in time, which
Mhm.
she has really, really enjoyed doing. And I really like the leniency of that if there's someone that she is interested in and we can really dive into their story in that time period. I really like doing that at this point before we kind of get into the years of like having specific things she needs to
Yeah.
be learning. So that's been really good. We A lot of the time, I kinda let them take control a bit on any kind of, like, art stuff. They both are, like, very art motivated. And my daughter also, she is in an art class on Thursdays. So a couple hours a week, she is doing, taking an art class, and so because I am not super great at art.
Somehow I find that hard to believe.
Well, it's true. But they're actually doing the class she's taking, it's really like art history,
Oh, cool.
which has been really, really awesome for her, so I kind of feel like I can take that off of my plate
Yeah.
a bit, which I'm not mad about.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'll say like our days are sometimes very short and sweet and we just get through everything and then the kids have all afternoon to just do whatever they feel like. And then we
Yeah.
have days where we will also like break it up where
Yeah.
they are needing maybe they're having a day of just kind of like so much energy they can't sit still. And on those days, we'll do kind of a morning block and take a really nice chunk of time into the afternoon and then finish up later in the day. So I feel like I'm pretty lenient on how we break up our days if we don't have commitments.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a pretty typical
Yeah.
day for us.
I
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't know, I feel like that flexibility is like what it's all about, and the ability to
Yes.
like see when your kids need certain things and like being attuned enough and flexible enough to be able to
Yes.
be like, yeah, we can finish this later, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, and it's taken, like, this is our 4th yeah, this is, like, our 4th year homeschooling, and I feel like every year there's, like, adjusting that takes place, and it gets a little easier, I think, for me to allow that flexibility more and more.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm feeling that right now because I don't know about you, but I feel like the first half of the year and the second half of the year always feel very different.
Oh, yes.
Like
Very
coming
much.
back from the holidays, I feel like I'm still like readjusting
Mhm.
after that, you know?
Yes, and I also am like, we've even just, like, adjusted some of the curriculum that we're doing going into the 2nd semester of, like, this
Yeah.
really is
Yeah.
not working for us right
This
now.
bombed.
Yeah, let's just do something different.
I love it. What part of homeschooling is the most challenging for you?
Mm. That's a hard one, I think, because in my mind right now, I'm trying to separate just being a mom and really, like, what homeschooling is.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, do you even have to separate them? Like, some it's so
I mean,
interesting because
yes and no.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'm like, "Man, it would be nice if you were in school today
Yeah.
and you weren't here." No, I think sometimes I actually have been feeling this way the last couple of weeks of going, "Are you learning the things that you need to know? Am I failing in some way?" Like, I find myself at least a couple of times a year, like, having these moments of wondering if I'm doing enough,
Mm,
wondering if I am smart enough to teach them what they need to know. I would imagine probably a lot of moms at one point or another kind of go through that feeling because sometimes it's overwhelming,
yeah,
the amount of subjects and amount of things that they're supposed to be
yeah,
learning, but I do find myself a lot of the time just rechecking myself, making sure that they are getting what they need.
yeah,
Um, so for me, honestly, I think that is one of the hardest things is for me to be able to settle in and know that, like, they are getting what they need, and because we're constantly adjusting, like, I just have to remind myself sometimes, like, that it's for their good, it's for the betterment of them when we're adjusting and changing and, "Oh, like, maybe we didn't do that for a little while, it's time to pick that back up again."
yeah,
But I think for me, that is one of the hardest things is wanting to make sure that as their parent and teacher, I am staying on top of knowing that they are continuing to grow and learn in the way that, is best for them.
yeah. Well, and it's like, how do you measure that? Like different people measure that in very different ways. And, definitely like the system,
Mhm.
measures that in a very different way.
Yes.
And yet we have like the testing, this year for third
Mhm.
grade. And so,
Yes.
yeah, it is like a dance between, at least I'm finding, like following the rules just enough, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and not like squashing all the things that you don't want to squash in the
Yes.
process of that.
Yes. I
Yeah.
think I also, like, sometimes, and probably not everybody feels this way, but I have moments of going like, "Okay, what if something happened and my kids had to go to school?" I do not want them ever being in a position where they're at some huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
And so there is, like, that little bit in the back of my mind that I always wanna know they'll be okay.
Yeah.
If for some reason their life, that did happen, which isn't the plan, but,
Yeah.
anything can happen. And
Right.
so I think I do always have that in the back of my mind is I want them to be able to, if they had to, jump into a different world.
Yeah. Yeah. I like hear that and agree. And also, I just find it, I don't know. I mean, it's a choice that we're all making, right? But I think about like the reverse of that, like for kids who are in public school, like I don't think that that's the same. I don't think the same amount of pressure is there. Like you don't, if you're sending your kids to public school, I
Mhm.
don't think you think like, oh, if I ever had to pull my kid out of school for some reason, what would I have to shift to be able to do that?
Totally.
You
Yes, I
know?
think you're right.
And
Mhm.
so not to, I don't know what my point is with that other than I think we put so much pressure on ourselves, and I think it is a role that we step into, and it's a role that we've all chosen,
Mhm.
and I feel like I'm always really careful. I feel like I have to be careful with how I talk about it because it also is a privilege, but I also one time I said that to someone, I was like, "Oh, yeah, that I'm grateful to be able to do this," and they were like, "It's a privilege to you, like, that would not feel like that to me." And I was like, "Oh, that's, like, fair,"
Yeah,
like,
mhm,
also totally fair because as
right,
you said, there also is a lot that you do give up, in some way
mm,
in the process of doing it. And so that's where I'm like, yeah, it's certainly not for everybody because, like, it has to work for you, it
yes,
has to work for partners, it has to work for your kids, and if
yes,
at any point it doesn't work for those people,
mhm,
then it's like you can either fight it out or you gotta make a change?
right. It is funny, I've had multiple conversations with my daughter about I don't ever want her to feel like she's obligated to do this.
Yeah,
And I think partially because I was never given there was no, conversation about that ever. I never would have been allowed to go to school.
yeah,
Um, and I think I always want her to know, like, "Hey, if you ever, like, really think you wanna try it, we can.
yeah,
You could try it for a year if you wanna try going to school." Like, it feels very important to me, yes, that it's working for everybody, and if it ever wasn't, being able to make that adjustment if it needed to be made
yeah.
feels important to me.
It feels like I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like there was enough like, positive in your experience too, like,
Mhm,
despite it coming from this different sort of intention, the fact that you, like, were wanting to homeschool, you said and I get it, like, the time piece of just, like, wanting time with your kids.
mhm.
But do you feel like you wish you could have gone to school, or are you content with kind of how it all played out?
I wish I would've. I do.
Yeah,
I still even look back now, I think it would have been so much better for me,
yeah,
but I also don't look at that and compare it with what we're doing and the world we're in and the exposure to just life in general that my kids are getting that I didn't get that I think will really be a benefit to them. Like I feel like they're two completely separate things, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
totally.
Um,
It speaks to the, like, broadness of homeschooling and what
yes,
it
I think
can be and what it
yes,
can look like too.
yes.
Yeah.
So my sister also has homeschooled and I think and her oldest just, graduated from high school, and obviously my oldest is only 8, and so I really got to watch her as a homeschool mom, and I think that really changed my perspective on what it was because she went about it in such a different way than we were, raised in the homeschool world, and I think
Mhm.
I didn't even know that that was a possibility even, and
Yeah.
so I don't even know if I would've walked down this road if it hadn't been for watching her and
Mhm.
watching the adjustments that she made, and seeing that there was a very different way of going about homeschooling.
Yeah.
I think I don't know that I would have ended up here if it hadn't been for watching her first too.
Mm. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Um, when things feel really hard and you're, like, over it, do you feel like you have specific practices or, like, tools that you return to that help you, like, stay grounded and sane?
Mm. I think sometimes we go through seasons of just it's hard for a while,
Yeah.
um, and being able to accept that there are seasons of it being hard for a while. And I also think sometimes in those times, I try to take the expectation down.
Yeah.
Sometimes in those seasons, we just do the bare minimum of what we have to do when everybody is just struggling. And
Yeah.
there are some of those days where I'm like, I give,
Yeah. Yeah.
I give. We will start up again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I have definitely found that the more I push on those days, the more frustrated everybody is. I
Yeah.
am more frustrated, the kids are more frustrated, and it gets to the point of it's better for all of us if we just pause.
Yeah.
Um, and I will say this too, I think I always lean back on read a book.
Yeah.
We
I
I
learned
we
so
have
much.
we have a whole shelf in our living room, a whole bookcase, not even shelf, a whole bookcase of just, like there's, like, a whole section of just nature books, and there's a whole there's just, new chapter books or whatever, and so I think there are days where, like, we do a lot of just sitting and reading books. And I find my kids reaching for that when things are hard. I sat and read about dinosaurs forever this afternoon with my son because that's just what we needed to do. We needed to sit on the couch and learn about dinosaurs this afternoon. And so
Probably why we kept running into each other at the library.
I know, I know. But I think sometimes it's about being able to simplify when you're trying to do too much.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, falling back on books for me is something that always tends to work for all of us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Because sometimes I feel like I can fall into the mental space of like, we'll be studying something. And sometimes we do go like pretty deep into it, especially like for their age. I'm like, oh, okay,
Right.
we're like, covering more than I thought we would. But a lot, I feel like at these ages is like exposure too. And
Yes.
then I worry that like in the exposure, like I'm like, I could go so much deeper, right? Like you have that in your head of like, I could do more. However, and then I just remind myself of that, like, of the exposure piece and also of their actual ages and how much time we have.
Yes.
And I remember a friend of a friend, was talking about how, and my friend shared this with me, like, instead of feeling like you had to, like, hit every subject they did, like, some subjects in the fall and
Yeah.
some subjects in the spring,
Yes.
and that was how they did it, and I was like, "That's honestly brilliant." We haven't tried that yet, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I see that because then you probably do feel like you can go a little bit deeper into
Yes.
things because you're not trying to hit.
Do everything.
Yeah,
We have done not that specific thing, but we have done a few different seasons of like hitting um like I can't there's a name for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but where you're doing like, oh, Tuesday, Thursday, you hit these subjects, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're gonna hit these subjects.
like a block scheduling type
Yeah,
thing, sort
kind of.
of.
And we have done some of that, and honestly, it has taken so much pressure off of me on those days because sometimes I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we've only gotten through 2 things today. I can't even believe how much we have left to do." Where then I find myself rushing to get through stuff as opposed to slowing down long enough, like you're saying, to really be able to dive into something when we do have the gift of time.
Yeah,
And sometimes I do find myself trying to rush when it feels like we're trying to cram so much into one day, whereas falling back on that, hey, let's only do these subjects 2 days a week and let's do these 3 days a week. And then maybe we reverse it the next week so that we can really put our time and effort into, these specific things and really dive deep if the kids want to.
yeah. That is where we've been in the last chunk of time too,
Yeah.
like doing kind of more of a block scheduling thing.
Uh huh.
And I can't imagine actually trying to do everything every day.
Right.
That would not go well. 'Cause I feel like even in, like, the, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday split, it's like, yeah, it's still yeah, it's just reading the room some days.
Oh, it really is. It really is.
Ugh. Okay, last question, and then if there's anything else you feel like you
Okay.
wanna add
Yeah.
or that I didn't, touch on or we wanna muse about, we can. Um, if you could speak to yourself at the beginning of your homeschooling journey, what is something you would like that version of Joe to know?
Mm, I think I have probably touched on
Yeah.
some of this, but I think taking the pressure off
Mhm.
of yourself. I think in those early years, I felt so much pressure to make sure I was keeping up with every tiny little thing when really what was most important in those first days, I mean, I'm talking like kindergarten days with my
Yeah,
first, was just really sitting with her, really observing what she was interested in, and having slowed down long enough to really savor that time
yeah,
with her and not feel so much pressure
yeah,
that so much is school. Like, honestly, I'm like, so much of just life in general is school, even
yeah,
though, yes, I always fall back on there are things you've got to know,
yeah,
but there are so many things that can be looked at as school that just simply slowing down and taking the time and being together, there is so much learning happening outside of just books,
yeah,
and to take some of the pressure off of myself.
yeah.
Mm.
It's amazing too because we have the gift of time, right? Like, we have all this time with them, and I still so much of the time feel like it's not enough.
Yeah.
Like, like
Well, because you're not just like, let me just say this to you. If you also weren't preparing meals, taking care of a house, doing schedules, if you were just only your brain was only thinking about teaching them,
yeah,
I wonder how different time would feel.
yeah, yeah, I know.
Not that that changes anything, but sometimes I find myself doing school with them and my brain is going, I need to do the dishes. My brain is going, I need to start laundry. My brain is going, I need to make that phone call and schedule that thing.
Yeah,
And if it was just us able to shut off some of that and
yeah,
just focus on that thing.
yeah,
Sometimes we take school out of the house.
yeah, we do that too.
Sometimes we'll go and sit at a coffee shop where I cannot do anything else but what we're doing, and it's lovely.
Yeah. We aren't there quite yet because 2-year-old,
Yes. Well,
but
yes.
we have done, like, park school where
Yes, park school.
2-year-old goes and, like, plays on the
Yes.
playground,
That's
does his
perfect.
thing, and
Yes.
we get some stuff done, and yeah, it is yeah, I yes. Mhm, mhm.
Changing the environment. I will say, like, even when it's warm outside, we take school outside more often than not,
Yeah,
where my five-year-old can then go do whatever he wants because, there's not a whole lot he has to do right
yeah,
now. But simply changing your scenery too, I think really and that's not something we've done for a very long time. Like,
yeah,
that's been a newer thing of just simply changing where we're doing school sometimes makes such a huge difference.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Is there anything we missed? I mean, there's a lot we missed, but is there anything that you would like to add or
I don't think so. I think probably just one of my biggest things is flexibility and being willing to change when something isn't working.
yeah,
Like, that has maybe been one of my, like, biggest adjustments over the years is just change when it's not working.
yeah.
It's better for you, it's better for them. Make the adjustment.
Yeah,
Mm,
so good.
yeah.
Thank you so much for
Yes,
taking the time.
of course, it was
It's
wonderful.
so nice to chat with you,
Yes.
and, we need to just stumble into each other at the library again.
I know, I know, we really
It's our
do.
only hope.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been avoiding there because I don't wanna get sick.
I don't blame you. I definitely go less in the winter for that exact reason. We got hit so hard before Christmas, though, that
Oh,
I'm just hoping that we have immunity at this point. So,
no.
I've been
Wait,
braving it a little bit since
did you
then, but
get the
only because
flu?
I'm like, "What?"
Did you have the flu?
We had some weird mystery illness, and then we had norovirus.
Oh, no. That I'm telling you what, not that I ever wanna have the flu, but the puking, it is
I was
not.
the only one that stayed healthy in my whole house,
Oh my
and I don't know
gosh.
how because I was literally holding children covered in
Oh god. Well, and the
but you
worst thing
know
about
what?
that is that
You better
because it
have
has to work through everybody.
yeah, it was like domino effect. It was yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, it happens to all of us.
It
It's
does.
just yeah, and those are the weeks also where you're like, "Yeah,
Well,
homeschool's not
yep, right now we're all just surviving.
right now, we're learning how to work with a bucket."
That's right. There you go. Everybody's gotta learn it.
Oh, didn't know we'd end up here, but here we
Oh my gosh.
so good. Alright, well, I love you.
Love you.